Hey there, it's Derek here from Pacific Coast Auto Japan. We're looking at a 1997 Toyota Mark II Qualis, which is a station wagon version of the Mark II, but kind of yes and kind of no. This is called a Mark II here in Japan, which, you know, people know the Mark II as part of the JZX cars, like JZX 80, JZX 90, JZX 100. This car, although it shares the same name with the Mark II, it is not on the same platform as that one. This one has 72,000 kilometers on it. Overall condition is pretty good. It is fairly dirty on the inside. The outside is actually pretty good. I'll show you the engine here. Engine running condition is excellent. This is a 5S FE engine, which is a 2.2 liter version of what originated as, or I guess is commonly known as the 3S engine. I don't know which one came first. 5S came after, but if there's any engine that came before the 3S, I actually don't know. Typically, they will have a 1 and a 2 before they have a 3 because that number is for the series version of it. So anyway, something for me to look up. Looks like the alternator has been replaced because it is shinier than the rest of things. And the S series engine is known to be one of Toyota's most reliable engines. I would even argue more reliable than the current engines. It's very simple, very basic. They were in tons and tons of vehicles. And proven to be a good engine. The coolant on this one looks good. The oil on this one also looks good. And there's not much else to say about here, so I'll close the hood. Oh, hood dampers don't work. Otherwise, I would have had the hood open for that, and no weird sounds or anything. Now, if you look at the car and you squint and you think it looks like a Camry station wagon, that's because it is on the same platform. It actually has the engine sideways, whereas the JZXs usually have them, well, always have them this way. So that's why I said it's a Mark II, kind of yes, kind of no. Officially, it is a Mark II, but it's more like a Camry station wagon, which is still kind of cool. This one's going to the US, and this generation of Camry in the US never got the station wagon. So it's a fairly big front-wheel drive station wagon with Toyota build quality and shares a lot of parts with a domestic vehicle, making it pretty easy to service. If you look at it from here up and then down through this pillar, it does have the profile of a Mark II, just with an extra little bit. Even though, yes, it is in a front-wheel drive platform. They did make a station wagon version of the JZX 100 in the 110 format, JZX 110, called the Mark II Blit, but it's more like a large wagon / small minivan. I'm not a huge fan of the styling, but I do like the styling of these. I think the front end is still very much JZX 100 looking. And the back end, like the taillights, they basically copied the Mark II's tail lights, albeit a little bit bigger. Okay, so in this video we'll review the condition of the car and compare it to the auction inspection sheet. First off, let's go over the inspection sheet here. This is all the information given to us from the auction, and it is very sunny, so let me just try to block all of that sun out. Okay, and very windy. Thank goodness for wind socks. So a 1997 Mark II, and this is Qualis version 2.2 S package. The auction grade is 3.5, and it says exterior D, interior C. I think that's being way too harsh on it. I think the exterior is more like a C, maybe even closer to a B, in all honesty. And the interior, once it's cleaned, is going to be higher than a C because there's really not much damage to the interior. 72,496 kilometers is quite low. The only sales point is that this is the first time at auction. Notes here say the hood damper doesn't work and it has stock 15-inch wheels, which is not bad, but 15-inch wheels are so tiny by today's standards. I think a set of 18s would look very good on this. Okay, the report here says interior liner scratched, interior dirty, headliner dirty, seat has medium stains, and the seat has a medium level of wear, and the steering wheel has wear. Going on here, the only two that I thought were worth mentioning here are the B3 here and a U4 here. Now, the roof doesn't actually have any U4. I think that whoever was inputting this information thought that this is where they needed to put it, but in actual life, it's more like right here. So there is what I would consider maybe like a U2, U3 maybe in this area that might actually be what they were trying to do, because the roof looks completely fine. but there is an area of damage here that isn't an A1 or a B1. So in case you don't know these sheets, the 1 is a small level of damage, 2 is a little bit more, 3 more, 4 more, that sort of thing. U means dent, A means scratch. My gosh, is it ever windy? Let's pull that down a little bit so it doesn't fly away. Okay, so let's do a once around here so you can see the car. This is my first time seeing this car, and no matter what the car is, I always love seeing a car for the first time. It's really interesting to me to see what Toyota decided to do for this car, what its market position would be, how it improves on other cars in its area. I must say, it is a nice car, but I don't know how popular that it was, and I don't know if anyone was put off by the fact that this is a front-wheel drive, but called the Mark II. Mark II station wagons have a pretty big history and are still fairly popular today as an enthusiast car, but all of those are on the rear-wheel drive chassis. And I'm talking about the ones from the 80s that they made into the 90s. Like Toyota did this thing, and Nissan did as well, where their station wagons would go over 2 generations. So, like, for example, they would have the 80 series, and while the 90 series is still a thing, the 80 series wagon would still be sold alongside, and then they would skip every other generation. Okay, there's my shadow. Yoicks, get out of there. Okay, so let's look at some of the details. Yep, really like the front end. It's got the fog lights down here. Got a little bit of damage. A scuff right here, including chips right down to the black urethane right there, and here. And then these aftermarket bump pads that you can buy and put on for your loved ones when you think that they're going to hit the corners. It's sort of like an extra safety piece. Inside this lens is a little bit of moisture. Okay. The lenses aren't really cloudy, which leads me to believe it's probably been parked inside. The hood paint is all good, and the roof, not seeing any U2s anywhere. Or U4, pardon me. The actual place that the U4 probably is right here. You can see that there is some touch-up paint here with a damaged section, and then this area here is kind of dented in. Show you from different angles so you get a good idea of the condition of this dent. Okay. For the most part, the rest of the body is pretty good. There are some scuffs, particularly on the back bumper and over here. So let me just show you, where is it? Here it is. So right along here, there's a pretty big scuff, including some paint cracks here. And then the top of the bumper in this silver section, there is a fairly large amount of damage there. It looks like somebody backed into a corner or a pole. Okay, I don't think that there's anything else that really stands out. I think there might be a few things, but if you're the owner of this vehicle, check the companion video that comes with this. That is the full side panel check, so that you can see if there is anything that is missed in this general walk-around video. Okay, has roof racks, which are quite nice. They have a metallic silver paint on them, which looks good. A lot of times it'll be like a matte black that doesn't look as nice as this. And I like the shape and the look of the rear spoiler. The Mark II has always been kind of a sporty sedan, and a little bit smaller than Toyota's mainstay, the Crown. And yeah, this one shares a few little sporty things like that spoiler and a little bit of a faster back end compared to the Crown wagon of the same era. The Crown wagon of this generation came out a little bit after this one, and is actually quite nice. It's maintains the 1JZ engine with the turbocharger. Okay, open the trunk here, and we're going to be doing the interior now. And yeah, the vehicle wasn't cleaned before it was sold, and hasn't been cleaned for several years before it was sold. So unfortunately, there's a lot of stuff that needs to be vacuumed out. It's a pretty sizable trunk. It's maybe a little bit bigger than a Legacy. Legacy is kind of the benchmark to me. It's bigger than a Stagia as well. You get better packaging if it's not a four-wheel drive vehicle, I find, because you don't have to fit as many things like rear differentials. Okay, tonneau cover here, and then a 60/40 split rear seat. This is all carpeted in here instead of a plastic, which is quite nice. And you have a cigarette lighter that the whole thing will pop out. get back in there. Okay, just like the Legacy, you get little hideaway places in the sides. And 2 of them here. Looks like you have 1, 2, 3, 4 tie-down hooks if you need them. And your back here is all carpeted as well. Okay, let's go into the back seat now. And there is a broken section of the back seat. I'll show you. I want to say something about the door cards. I feel like maybe this one here, the S package, gets these pieces where the other ones don't. These pieces are glued on right on top of what is otherwise this cushiony, carpety material. So it is a little bit odd that it can, have a look, it can be pushed in. That's the design of it. Kind of strange. That's how it is. The interior of here, of this section, is exactly what you would expect from a Camry. You know, well-built, comfortable, plenty of space. Not really much else to say about that. It's just what you'd expect. Now, this part here, the pillow is broken. The hinge at the bottom on this side has popped out somehow. Maybe some broken plastic, and as a result it doesn't stay where it's supposed to be, and it's quite loose. Inside here has some cup holders, but because this isn't where it's supposed to be, the cups are going to be a little bit saggy and maybe spilly. Looks like you have an ashtray back here and probably some more cup holders. Yeah. Okay, this one has no sunroof. The auction sheet said headliner's dirty, so here's a look at that. And when the headliner's dirty, that often means the car has been heavily smoked in. In this case, it has been smoked in. There's some ash remnants in the ashtray. It doesn't have a it doesn't have a strong scent of cigarettes. And so it wouldn't worry me too much if this was my car. I definitely want to clean it out, and some of the cigarette smell, if there is any at all, would be able to go away. Power windows all work properly. Everything works properly except for that pillow, and the tachometer for some reason doesn't move. I'm not sure how useful a tachometer is on an automatic transmission car, but it is kind of annoying that it is broken. It might be as simple as replacing a gear in the transmission in the speedometer cable, but I'm not entirely sure. Okay, pretty dirty carpets there, but the seats are generally fine. Like here again, pretty dirty carpets. They said seat stains. I don't know, maybe some areas, like, how can I block the sun from that? Like right here has a stain, but more so in the carpets, as you can see. It kind of looks like someone's neglecting the washing down here in particular. And yeah, needs a good cleaning before it's ready to be driven. You get cup holders in here. And then shifting all works fine. This thing here has started to degrade a little bit. And then there is a cigarette burn right here. Usually that's mentioned on the auction sheet, but sometimes they miss the smaller ones that are not always visible right away. You have a cigarette lighter adapter down here and a secondary one there. Here you can see the ash. There's no cigarettes in it, but the ash is fairly fresh, I guess. A free box there. The AC works, has a CD player and a tape deck. Okay, the dashboard has a little bit of damage up there for where something used to be mounted. It's like squished the dashboard down a little bit and left some glue remnants. And you have an air freshener over there by Febreze, which yes, you can get in Japan if you're curious. Okay, let me just show you the gauge set again. And I'll show you the tachometer not working. See, just doesn't come up. Give it a rev. Engine sounds nice and healthy, but no tachometer moving. Okay, so that is pretty much it for this vehicle. Hope you enjoyed seeing this for the first time, just like me. If you do want to be in, like maybe you're interested in importing cars, you can check out our website. There's a link to that in the description. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and have a nice day.